We'll get started. So thanks again. This is our ProLinkHFA webinar series that we host monthly. Today we're going to be talking about implementation and adoption retrospective. So kind of a lessons learned opportunity for us to share with you based on our experiences working on implementations, like new clients coming on board to ProLinkHFA, and working on adoption projects with existing clients over the last 12 to 18 months. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to cover some general information for about 5 minutes before we get into the content for today's session. I'm Kreuter. I'm the Executive VP for ProLink. I oversee our customer success program at ProLink as well. And then Pucciarelli is our Director of Customer Success and head of our project management office as well. So very involved in really all the projects that we run that require project management oversight. So all of our large projects and certainly our implementations. Covering general information to kick us off. If you're not so familiar with ProLink, I wanted to just take a minute to introduce ourselves. Many of you who join in regularly could probably rehearse this yourselves at this point, but we have been in the affordable housing industry for over 20 years. We support what we consider the 3 pillars of affordable housing, starting with our state and local housing finance agencies. That's really what kind of initiated us into affordable housing in the beginning of our existence, working with Virginia Housing as that flagship first client of ours. And from there, we have expanded certainly our footprint supporting our agency clients, but we also built a system to support tax credit syndicators and investors in affordable housing, as well as developers, larger developers that have similar needs. And then also offering a lot of tools through Procorum to the developer and owner agent community. So we've really founded our product offering with the concept of creating a holistic platform for these parties to connect and collaborate and build affordable housing together. So we really focus on creating those products that support that origination stage of a deal all the way through compliance monitoring. So really that deal life cycle supported by our products, as well as the connection of contributors to affordable housing, which is definitely something that Procorum facilitates. And the more collaboration that we have, the more efficiency we can create in sharing data, because we're all looking at many of the same things, the better and more time savings, we can operate. So that's our goal. Our team, we are technologists first. We're a technology company, but we have been so focused on affordable housing over the 20 years we've been working in this business and have great tenure at ProLink. I would say we have some wonderful experts, technical experts that have such a depth of knowledge in this industry. And that is such a credit to, I think, what we've been able to accomplish with our clients over the years. So just a few more main points. We currently support 17 state housing finance agencies, 2 supportive services agencies. We have a slide next that kind of shows the vision of that across the United States. We also are supporting 5 syndicator and investor clients. We are active members of NCSHA, sponsors of NCSHA as a vendor, and looking forward to our conference coming up in Atlanta, I believe, in June. So we'll see you there. The NAMA XML standards group is also a community that we are actively involved with. So that you guys are familiar with NAMA, that export XML that comes out of your property management tools and allows you to import into ProLinkHFA through the tenant event portal in Procorum. We're hot and heavy in kind of a busy time for tenant events right now. So we've been working very heavily with our clients to get through this busy season. And we basically lobby on our clients' behalf within that non-XML standards group to get updates made to that standard, to just, track data, make regulatory updates and changes, and get as much and accurate information, standardized information across the property management tools that we have available. Industry education has certainly become a main focus point for us, especially in recent years. Using these webinars as an opportunity for us to discuss industry issues, share technology advancements that we're making, be more accountable to our clients in general. It's really, and even these kinds of topics where we're offering kind of a retro and lessons learned on the projects we've worked on. It's been a great, just a great avenue for us to be more involved in the industry and our community. We also offer a Procorum webinar series. We're really focused on providing training in that series right now, since we are in the tenant event compliance season, focusing on helping our owner agents understand that tenant event portal. So if you have been tuning into our Procorum webinar, you've definitely been seeing a lot of focus there. And that will change after we get through that kind of April timeframe. Going into May, we'll probably focus on more general functionality in Procorum that could serve our agency clients as well. We do have our ProLink Tech Live User Conference, which we host in the fall. That's open to, of course, our clients, but also we open it up to anyone else who wants to attend, where we're offering, training, hands-on training, virtual hands-on training to our users. And then this year, I'm so excited, we're hosting our in-person user conference, so our user group conference. That's, before COVID, before we all went remote so much in our working relationships, we offered an in-person conference only once a year in Denver. When we did go virtual, we started ProLink Tech Live to continue to facilitate that conference remotely. And we, through that experience, we had a ton of more people coming to our trainings because, you didn't have to pay for travel, so more people were able to attend. So we have over 200 people attending that training in the fall every year, but we lost that opportunity to kind of strategize and collaborate with our user group, like the super users that are represented across our agencies. So I'm really excited that we're going to host an in-person conference in April this year to facilitate and bring that back. And I expect that to continue to be a regular annual event that we will continue to support going forward. So if you're coming in April, I look forward to having you with us. Last, our technology leadership, we still work heavily. We're supported and run most of our outsourced services through Amazon, AWS. We still have DocuSign integrated with our ProLink Plus product. And, I hope to see more of that kind of trickle into some of the other products that we offer as well. Best in class functionality is what we're aiming for here. We don't need to reinvent the wheel when there's great technology out there for us to integrate into ProLinkHFA. So that's something that we're focused on doing. This is that slide I just wanted to highlight again. We do have a couple of new clients who are coming on board and just kicking off their implementation. So Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, I just wanted to give you a shout out and thank you guys for coming on board. That's an implementation that we're actively working on. Potentially some of our lessons learned from this engagement will be featured next year around this time. City of Chicago as well is going to be joining our user group, and we'll be kicking off sometime in the early summer. So thank you guys, excited to work on those projects with you. Okay, so right before I hand out, well, I guess continue with the topic today. If you are somewhat new to ProLink, this is just a quick picture to orient ourselves to the technology stack that most of our agencies are using. You can see ProLinkHFA representing your back office system. That's where our housing finance agencies are logging in and working daily. It's that kind of source of record keeping. Your final source of data is there. And then we have Procorum, which offers our front office portal. That's where you're connecting with your developers, contractors, property managers, any external parties, and even across departments within your agency. to facilitate different, collaboration efforts like your NOFA applications, construction draw management, compliance reporting, the tenant event portal, and those kinds of things. So together, and then of course using smart docs to eliminate data entry as much as we can, that makes up our kind of secret sauce. These are the main modules that you have access to in ProLinkHFA. So we have our multifamily development and bond financing module in orange, which then translates into our asset management and compliance module. We also have a single family development module and some other features kind of over on the left for supportive services, REO, Budget Pro. We also have additional ones outside of this slide, like diversity compliance is a module that we have we're just going through an implementation on with one of our agency clients. So if you're interested in any of these supplemental features, please reach out to us. I guess starting off our topic, kind of looking at this slide, what I will say is that we're talking about adoption today. And it's the vision, I think, that our agency clients have for using ProLinkHFA when you go through your implementation and you're really at the beginning stages of using it, and where you might be 2, 3, 4, 5+ years down the road, they look different. Like sometimes you're ahead and you find great value in things you didn't expect. And sometimes there's things that fell off the track along the way. And you really want to get to a position of utilizing more functionality available in ProLink. This is a great picture to kind of sum that up and remind us all that basically the data you put into the system it kind of directly correlates to the return on investment and the value you're going to get out of the system. If there's not data in the system, you're not going to get much value out of it. If you are contributing and using the system to the best of the agency's capabilities at that time, and there's different stages, milestones for what that might look like, but when you're optimizing, you get optimal value out of the system. So that's really what we're aiming to focus on today. Talking about retrospective and why this is important. So at the end of most of our projects, we always do very great about making sure we do that retro and discuss the lessons learned and how things went and having that kind of closure on our projects. But it doesn't mean much if you're not acting on it. So this is just kind of a little set the tone chart that shows, some of the benefits and then also adversely the negative outcomes on whether or not you really not just talk the talk and look back and kind of think about things, but also if you don't take action on what you've learned, you're not going to see any benefits going forward. So certainly I would say ProLink, especially in like the recent years, we're doing much better about tracking the changes that we're making through our retro process on projects. And I mean, we've seen every single one of these benefits in green on the left, like reduction of future effort for sure, a monetary gain, operational excellence, and avoiding past mistakes. Certainly every single one of those has been checked off the list. And we're really trying to avoid repeating our past mistakes and definitely repeating the good ones. There's also the lessons learned of like, hey, that actually worked. Decreased performance, increased operational cost, and lost ROI, turnover. Those things are what can happen if we let things fester and we don't take the opportunity to enforce that change based on the lessons we've learned. So Dee is going to cover this slide now, which is really just a summary of some of the direct feedback. So these are direct quotes and feedback that we're sharing. Certainly in the spirit of transparency, I want to make sure we consider ourselves an industry expert in affordable housing related to technology. An expert does not mean you're perfect. We are constantly changing the way that we operate our business to improve experience for our clients and make us more successful. So this is a great kind of summary of the things that we have been focused on hearing from our clients and taking action to improve over the last, 12 to 18 months or so. So Dee, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Bree. Hi, everybody. So at the end of each implementation, we send out a survey to the implementation teams. The good, the bad, and the ugly survey represents ProLink commitment to improve implementation approach and processes. And we empower the team to be as blunt and transparent as they want to be when providing their feedback. Participants have the option to submit their feedback anonymously. But so far, I'm super happy to say that everybody has not, and they felt very, very comfortable helping us to improve our processes. Today, we're sharing with you the top 3 members' feedback for each category, what we learned and how we change our processes to improve the customer experience. The categories are the good, the bad, and the ugly. On the good, their feedback that we received is great collaboration between agency and ProLink communications with ProLink implementation lead and industry experts was exceptional. They were very responsive to questions and or concerns. Our lessons learned from this feedback is that most team members on the agency side are open to change and want to improve their processes, but don't know exactly how. And it's normal for them to want to know best practices and what works for other clients when talking about their processes. So in order to support that and continue with that positive trend, we changed the implementation approach. And now, as part of our end user training, ProLink can provide a one-on-one super user training or consulting to address the specific processes, as well as offer reinforcement training during our heightened support period. The heightened support period, for those that don't know, is after we go live and the agency is using the system, immediately we have what we call the heightened support period, which is an allocated time where the implementation team remains available to the project team, to the business leads and the supervisors, while they start ironing it out and polishing their processes. And sometimes, when needed, they want to collaborate with ProLink experts and our implementation team and the best way to implement a sub-processes, for example. So we wanted to keep promoting that. The bad, now things are going to start getting real for us. Staff did not understand the capabilities of ProLink, and ProLink did not understand the nuances of our business practices. That one kind of like hit hard for us, but we take it with a grain of salt and try to move forward. So when we discussed this with the team, what really came about was during the RFP, when usually is the business requirements gathering, when we have everything that the agency needs, and how ProLink is going to support those needs, the team that worked on that 1 to 3 years ago is not the people that are working on the project team, because the project team is more close to the supervisors and the business leads for those particular departments. And these can result in unnecessary confusion and skepticism from the project team. In order to address this, we basically carved some time at the beginning of the implementation to go through a technical evaluation. And we discussed integrations, data migrations, and system enhancements. We also carved some time to have what we call evaluate current processes from the business side. This is a show and tell from the agency project team to our implementation team in ProLink, and they're going to show us the systems that they use, the documents that they use, the challenges that they're going through, and how they do their process. In turn, ProLink implementation team does a comprehensive system demo prior to even starting process mapping. So that way, the agency team has an idea on the system functionalities, and then also the implementation team from ProLink have an idea of the major challenges and pain points that they have and how is their current process. For the ugly, this one is something that if you were part of our webinar last month, we talk about our recommended SWOT approach and how now we have multiple teams. You have a core team to work on current processes review and to-be process mapping. and also to kind of like have ultimate decision making in some of the issues in the implementation. But then you have mini teams or sub teams, one for data migration, one for integrations, smart doc mapping, and if there are any enhancements, another team for that, and one for the steering committee with executives. Now, the reason for that is that the feedback that we receive is lack of resources on both of our agencies and ProLink side, leading to delays. So initially, we have the tendency to have just one major project team, and this team from the agency side and from ProLink side will manage all the work streams, all of them. And this is a year to 14 months effort. So you can imagine, especially on your side, your team working on an implementation while also keeping up with their current jobs and daily operations. So that led to burnout, availability issues, and of course, that creates risks to project delays. So to minimize that, we recommend to diversify our SWAT team approach. And that's where these multiple teams come into play. And now not only you divide and conquer, now you can have multiple work streams happen at the same time. And if someone is not available, for example, if someone on the core team, something happened, we cannot move forward with business processes, that doesn't mean that our data migration is going to stop or that our smart docs effort is going to stop. So I think this approach, which what we're doing with Maryland and Chicago, at least we're proposing that, will work much better for everybody, and we alleviate that burnout on the agency side. With this being said, I think no one can argue with the importance of value of lessons learned. But usually, due to time constraints and urgency to start the next project, often lessons learned process never happens. And if it happens, it's so high level, just as part of a project management protocol to check a box because it's a requirement. And that is a waste of time. The key of lessons learned is to say, yes, we want to collect your feedback, but most importantly is to do something about it. It is not a waste of time. It will save you time and money in the long run. So now let's talk about the 5 W's of software adoption initiative. Thank you, Bree. What is it? So taking in consideration, taking the necessary steps to adopt and embrace new technology within your agency ensures your employees become more effective. If you are getting ready to start your software implementation, this is your organizational change management and software adoption strategy. And if you are already a client, you're one of us, and you are going through software adoption challenges, this is your software adoption evaluation effort. Now let's chat about why it's important. A successful adoption strategy increases productivity, reduce costs by eliminating manual processes, minimize errors, and optimize resource allocation, leading to a faster ROI. This is the elevator speech of why it's important. But the biggest lessons learned that I can share with you today is start your organizational change management strategy and software adoption as soon as possible. The operational and financial gains are huge. So let's take a look. Right now, you see the RFP development for software selection, implementation, and software membership duration cycles. For RFP development, we have 6 to 12 months. This is your team basically dedicating time to develop the business case and gathering requirements. Then you have your software selection that can go between 1 and 3 years. And then your staff, some of your staff will be managing the RFP process and the software selection. Once that happens, then you go into software implementation that can be between 1 year and 14 months. Now your staff time cost increases because it's more people working on implementation. You have your project team, your subject matter experts, stakeholders, steering committee for a year, year and a half. So far, I'm just calling the time and cost of the staff directly involved in these efforts. You have to remember that while the team is working on the RFP and the software selection, your operational staff is still struggling with manual workarounds, late hours trying to keep up, and in most cases, your customer service is also suffering as well. Finally, during your software membership time period, the 3 and 5, if you don't have an an organizational change management strategy, now you're going to be hearing decreased performance, or you'll be seeing decreased performance. You see overtime, high turnover. You can even get, executives can even get requests for new staff and the staff requests for new software. Now, what you can see here, we're going to lay over what it takes to do an organizational change management strategy. So you see your current state is basically showing the state of your operational staff. That remains constant until you change to a new software. But you should start preparing for your change as soon as you start working on your RFP. And either the same group or someone in that role as a change management, you have to look for your resources allocation, start developing your organizational change management strategy and your communication plan development and execution. You should be letting know all these operational staff that are suffering through all that hard work, that help is coming and you guys are working on your RFP. Then you go through the managing of the change during the software selection and during the implementation. You'll have now the actual execution. You're going to start working with your sponsors. You're going to start working with people managers, which is the supervisors, the directors, the managers that directly are impacted by the change, by this new software and going to be using it. And then you need to have a resistance management plan for, the squeaky wheels that are still, I don't know if this is going to work and if for real it's going to help me, and your communication plan. After you go through implementation, if you have your organizational change management or your software adoption strategy, however you want to call it, now you are going to need people to help with the software adoption management, to manage the program, to manage process improvements, and reinforce training. This is when you get your ROI worth, because you have someone paying attention to it. So ideally, like I said, you should start working your organizational change management strategy as soon as you start working on your RFP. Your strategy should include software adoption to reinforce the change and support your staff to adopt and embrace their new software platform to ensure your employees become more effective. Now at the end, you can see the operational costs and the agency sustain as they go through this RFP process. Notice that let's go worst case scenario, 1 year for RFP development, 3 years for software selection. Then you have your 1.5 years of software implementation. And then 2 years later, people started complaining. So that operational cost, if you not address, you're still going to have performance decrease, high turnover, low morale, increase in overtime hours, and you're also going to have your customer service delay. But if you do and start addressing it, then you'll have the opposite: operational excellence, work quality, productivity, faster ROI. Now that you can see this operational cost, the real question is it worth to go through this process all over again in a couple of years because we failed to have a software adoption strategy? And for those agencies that are at the stage where the staff is already asking for a new software or more people, is it worth it to go through the RFP process all over again? Or is it better and most cost effective to reset and collaborate with us, with ProLink, on your software adoption initiative and address your staff adoption challenges now, your training? So think about it. And we are not going to be talking numbers right now, but think about those soft costs. How difficult it is to get new staff, how difficult it is to really go through all this process versus, and how much that costs versus us helping you today and now and addressing all the issues that your staff have. And that's going to be easy, but it's possible. So if you have any questions, reach out.
Thanks, Dee. I'll cover the last 3 W's. These were the 2 first ones, the what and why is it important. So this is, again, talking about adoption. When is it a good time to develop a adoption strategy and implement it. And obviously now, if you're a current user of ProLinkHFA, then certainly you hear me encouraging this on MBRs. And I've seen such tremendous results. I mean, I would say all of our clients have a version of what this could be, but I think there's opportunity certainly to enhance it and make it the best possible for each agency. We're really trying to optimize our strategies here and work with you, certainly as your technology vendor, but this is quite intimate. We need to be involved and really understand the evolution of your agency and how your needs are changing and what kind of obstacles you're up against. And the more transparent and knowledgeable we are in those things, the better we are, the more effective we can be in supporting you. So it's really a partnership between us and our agencies to optimize that. So at the end of the day, this strategy should facilitate honest and open communication internally and with ProLink, like I said before. So we need to know what's going on, and you guys need to be hearing what's going on as well. And that should be a consistent thing. It's certainly something that takes some nurturing. You can have a great adoption strategy at the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end of maybe like an initial engagement. We usually have like a 5-year term or something on a contract. Maybe you start out with one and things change over time, or you learn from experience and success and failures and implement a strategy towards the end as you're doing an evaluation to consider, okay, should we keep going? Is this working? Is it worth, like, let's do a renewal? We need to make some changes here. How should we make those changes? How should we enact those things? So just now is the time to engage with us and really explore that, and reach out to us if you're struggling to identify areas for adoption improvement and a strategy internally, because we have a lot of experience and resources available to help advise on those things. Really, executive management needs to have an interest in driving adoption. So the who should care. Certainly executive management, that does trickle down to them seeking out and cultivating what we call the network of champions, or those department sponsors who are they're the ones who are more close in proximity to the day-to-day operations and ways that we're driving adoption improvement. But certainly it starts with that executive sponsorship at the top. Sometimes we can go through an implementation super strong executive oversight and support, and then over time we don't see as much of that. And sometimes we can see the results of not having as much of that, and we need to check in and make sure that we are on the same page, and that it's reinforced and visible to at every level of the organization to continue to drive that change and consider and know as an internally and to ProLink what a priority adoption and kind of that evolution of your software support is for the agency. So, and then finding more information like Anna mentioned, certainly reach out to us. We can share with you more on our change management practices and recommendations that we've provided our clients. If you are charged with kind of facilitating, if you're part of that POET team or a SWAT team, those involved in our MBRs where you're really looking at adoption and trying to optimize ProLinkHFA for your agency, please reach out to us. And I know you guys already do, but certainly we have additional support we can help provide and guide you with. This is the last part of our feedback that we wanted to share, just some of the challenges that we have been faced with adoption across our clients over the years, and this aligns very much not only with ProLink, but this is worldwide across any kind of change and adoption of software. You're going to see things like this pop up. So you'll see complaints of lack of onboarding. I never really understood how we were supposed to use this in the first place, or I never was trained properly and I don't know where to go. You'll see turnover, and that can result from maybe the people involved in initially developing the RFP and requirements, turning over new people involved in the project. There's some gaps there. There's lots of reasons for turnover to occur, but it can cause gaps, and it can be stifling when it comes to adoption and moving things forward. Institutional knowledge can be a setback when we have institutional knowledge that's lacking in certain areas when you're charged with pushing adoption forward. Poor performance, employee morale concerns, increase of employee overtime, so requests for additional staff to keep up with manual work. We'll see that there could be like a major thing that might be missed that ProLink might not be aware of, or it was just, you know, there's a lot of different factors that can cause areas that could easily be automated to continue to be manual. And we need to really focus on those things and have an open door policy between us, ProLink, and our clients, not only during implementation, but afterwards, to sniff those things out, identify them, and eliminate them, because there's so much like kind of low-hanging fruit post-implementation to continue to improve the system effectiveness for clients. And it's important that that's, you know, realized and understood. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that happens after that initial implementation. Those who might be involved in kind of getting to that final go live date, that initial milestone of like, okay, we're live, we're using the system. Those people that were involved and continue to be involved, perhaps, they might not have known everything going on. So it's important for us to continue to explore those things and nip them out as soon as we find them. That's our goal. So you can see that in our response, really, when we do hear those kinds of complaints or concerns, if they bubble up, whatever form they bubble up into us, if we even suspect them, I'm reaching out, trying to reconnect with executive sponsors. I want to make sure that we're still on the same page, that they're involved and know what's going on. And then we have our organizational change management recommendations, like Dee just provided and has been providing over the last few webinars that we've posted, kind of touching on that subject. So we do provide recommendations for internal kind of preparation and changes to be made by our agencies. Certainly recommending the establishment of a POET team. It's a ProLink Operational Excellence Team is what that stands for. So that's kind of the living, breathing committee that lives on with ProLink, past, you know, made up of some of the people involved in the implementation, but really charged with that continuous adoption initiative. And then you can see we do offer through our customer success program process improvement. So continuing that evaluation and sniffing out of improvements that we should be making past implementation. Don't set it and forget it. Customer support is a major, you know, focal point for us in making sure that we're timely in our responses, that we provide complete answers. We do have a tiered approach to our customer support, which is something that we've changed in recent years. So as our volume of clients has gone up, we have a kind of a tier 1, and then we advance those tickets and concerns to the proper staff if that tier 1 response is not sufficient, and we need to reach out to other experts in our organization. So please be aware of that's part of our process, and we'll be talking more about customer support on our next webinar. And then product adoption. So really, this is the MBR. So that monthly meeting, that monthly business review meeting that I'm hosting with our clients, where we're checking in and we're talking about current issues, we're talking about current tickets, but we're also developing an adoption roadmap and looking into the future and sharing, you know, hopefully us, ProLink, hearing from our agencies what's you know, the concern or the hopes for maybe this quarter, this like first 6 months to year and further, where do we want to be? So, and from what we can put together there and collaborate on, then, you know, we can provide consulting and development support to reach those goals together. So you can see, based on those changes, like our response and the resources we have available, the program that we offer through customer success, Then we get to the agency change, which is, you know, or improvement. It could be that you have these things here, but we're just making them stronger. But really complete support and commitment from executive management. That's important to continue to, you know, just make sure it's strong. It's relationship management. It's making sure we stay, just like any relationship in our lives, that we are nurturing and making sure that we are strongly connected to each other. We have our communication, making sure that that's effective and deliberate. Agency adoption of process improvement methodology. So understanding and establishing a process improvement process really helps everybody, ProLink and internally, act and know, like, first step, second step, where do we start and how do we kind of get to the finish line on the process improvement. And then collaboration between us, again, like just really sharing and being transparent, working together. It really does help, and I'm so pleased with what we've been able to accomplish together in partnership with our clients at that level. So, and then our results, you know, it's some of these are self-explanatory, but the communication and collaboration at the forefront and establishing, making sure we keep that sponsorship at the executive level, but that really supports, you know, when we say the executive support, really we mean, you know, that's steering the ship, but it affects everybody else involved in this. And so certainly something that is important and needs to stay active throughout our relationship together, and active participation in attending these webinars as well as our user group events really does help engage, and also great opportunity for you to hear feedback from other agencies, hear use cases from other agencies using ProLinkHFA and learn from those. And that is something we ask from day one. As soon as you're under contract with us, regardless of it, using ProLink or not, we want you participating in those things. And so all of that being said, really leading to regular adoption advancement. That's, to me, the key. We want to have some regularity to this. It's kind of like a gym membership. We want to have a schedule. We want to stick to that schedule. If we go off the bar, we want to get back the next day on that schedule and continue to see those improvements as we move along together. So I think that sums up our lessons learned, our approach on adoption, and the things that we prepared to share today. So thank you very much for attending. We will be, so this first quarter of our webinars, February, March, and April, we've really been honing in and focusing on adoption, change management, lessons learned. You're hearing some of those recurring themes through the webinars we've hosted so far this year. We will be concluding our successful HFA implementation and adoption theme with next month's webinar. We'll be focusing on our customer success program. So Jessica Britton is she's our customer support lead here, oftentimes providing tier 1, tier 2 support to our clients directly. And last year we shared a lot of kind of the metrics and themes that we've seen at the customer success level. So we're going to bring that back kind of year 2 and share those again with you in the improvements we've made and how that process works. So your real customer support level that you get from ProLink. So please stay tuned for that and join us on Wednesday, April 3rd. We'll see you then. And then past that, we're going to really get into more technical focused sessions going into our Q2 series. So thank you for being here. We appreciate your time and have a wonderful day. We look forward to talking to you again soon.